go. So now we're recording. Okay, very well. So I want to talk about a very, very basic concept. Very basic concept because it's fundamental. Fundamental means the root, right? What is necessary. So when we build a foundation of a building, we're talking about the base. And without a foundation, we can't build a second story without building the first and the foundation at the bottom. The foundation is very important. We need to have a strong foundation in our Dhamma practice, in our Dhamma experience, in our Dhamma understanding. That's very important. So what can be more fundamental than the Four Noble Truths? Right? What's more fundamental than that? That is the first thing that Lord Buddha taught to his 5 ascetic friends. Right? That's the first thing. The Buddha could have taught so many things. Buddha has, basically infinite knowledge, infinite teachings. The Buddha said that he could talk about Satipatthana for eternity and never run out of time. Even though he said that, he still chose the Four Noble Truths to speak about, right? So imagine how important, how fundamental, how basic, elemental this teaching of the Four Noble Truths. So usually when we hear about the Four Noble Truths, especially everyone here growing up Buddhist, it just sounds like a recording in your head. Yes, suffering, the cause of suffering, the cessation of suffering, and the path leading to the cessation of suffering, right? So you're thinking Dukkha, Samudaya, Nirodha, and Magga. Bhante, I know these things. That's great. Let's do a review then. We'll do a review of the material again to make sure. It's like a quiz, right? But there won't be any marks at the end. So Dukkha, what's Dukkha? So we have to look at the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, right? There's where the Buddha first gave his first teaching. Dhamma usually we talk as the teaching, right? That's a good. Dhamma, actually, the word Dhamma is such a beautiful word because it means so many things. In different contexts, Dhamma means different things. Dhamma means teaching. Dhamma also means experience. Dhamma can also mean like a thought. When we think about like Satipatthana, like Dhamma, thinking about the Dhamma there. So Dhamma means many things. Here, I like to talk about experience. Why? Because we talk about Buddha Dhamma. What's Buddha Dhamma? Buddha means awaken. Dhamma means experience. The experience of the awakened ones, right? Or the Buddha's experience. What did he experience? The Buddha wants to share his experience with his friends, with his Kalyanamitas, these 5 ascetic partners who supported him for many years. So the Buddha wants to share the awakened experience with them. How does he do this? By sharing the Four Noble Truths. What are the Four Noble Truths? First one, I already said, Dukkha. Usually in English, we have a very bad word for this, suffering. It's not very good, this word, right? For all of you who, speak Sinhalese, you probably know that suffering is not such a good word. For Dukkha, it's very complex. Dukkha can also mean pain. Dukkha can mean you're not satisfied, unsatisfactoriness. The word Dukkha actually comes from the combination of 2 words. One meaning like a wheel thing, those cart wheels. In the center, there's a little peg, and that peg is not put in properly. The peg might be broken or it's not working properly. So dukkha comes from that. That is the root of the word dukkha. So what does that mean? It just means that something's not right. The root of dukkha means something is not right. Something is not right with life. Right? What is not right with life? Well, we experience birth. We experience aging. We experience sickness. We experience death. We don't always get what we want. Right? We get what we don't want. And we lose the things that we love the most, like our family members. So this is what's not right with the world, right? This is what's not right. I don't think anyone here wants to get old or older, right? The only people who like to get old are little kids, because they're thinking when I'm an adult, I can do whatever I want. That's the only reason why they want to be older. But once they're 18 or 21, they regret it and they come back to mom and dad. Oh, I don't want to pay bills. I don't want to work. Too bad. You wanted to be old. Now you're old. but no one wants to be old. Sick, nobody wants to be sick. We all, especially now, right? The situation that we're in. If you have a little cough, you start worrying that you might have COVID. So no one wants to be sick, except for little kids. Why do little kids want to be sick? So they don't have to go to school. Right? So only little kids, again, are an exception to this rule. Death. Nobody wants to die. Even little kids here, they don't want to die, you know? But sometimes some older people want to die, right? Because they're thinking, oh, this samsara, this life, so much dukkha in this life. If I die, it's over. It's not over. Why? Because there's birth. And you have to experience it all over again. That's why birth is also dukkha. Imagine you're reborn again. You have to wear diapers. You have to learn how to walk. You have to learn how to talk. You have to go to school again. You have to be a teenager. Then you fall in love and they break your heart. You have to get married. You have to go to work all over again. So coming back is, dying is not any freedom. There's no freedom in dying. When you die, you're born again, and again, dukkha. Not getting what you want, that's obviously dukkha, right? That's all of us here. We don't always have what we want to get. That is definitely dukkha. We know that. We don't need a Buddha to tell us this. We experience it every single day of our lives. Getting what we don't want. Also, we already know this, right? You might have a bad coworker or a bad boss. You're getting something you don't want. You might have to do stuff that you don't want to do, right? Your spouse, your partner tells you, hey, you have to go do this chore, take out the trash, mow the lawn, clean this, do that. That's something you don't want. You don't like it. And then the last one is losing what you love, losing your loved ones. Nobody wants to lose their loved ones, right? No one wants to lose their mother, their father, their grandma, their grandpa, their brother, their sister, their uncle. All these things are dukkha. So when the Buddha talked about suffering in life, he was talking about all these things that we have to experience. Something's not right with life because life has all these problems, right? That's the first noble truth. Something's not right with life. There's a problem to life itself. Why? Because no living being survives on rocks, survives just on air. All animals have to go out and search for food. What does that mean? That living beings only live through eating other living beings. That's the only way, right? Even plants are alive. That's a problem. Imagine coming into a world where the only way you can survive is by, eating something else that's alive. And a place where you have to decay and die. And things won't always be the way you want. If the temperature changes, too high or too low, we suffer. We don't have proper food. We have no food, we suffer. No water, right? Not the right quality of water, we suffer. We need all these things to keep us alive. It's a very delicate balance. That's why so far we've only found, life on this planet. We still don't see it in other ones because it's a very fragile situation that we live in. That is dukkha. At any moment, right now in California, we have this drought, all these problems. That's dukkha. What are we going to do? How are we going to solve this problem of this getting water here in California and then all the fires? That's also dukkha. So I'm giving you these examples because in order for you to really understand dukkha, you need to see it in your own life, in your everyday life. It just can't be some metaphysical idea of dukkha. Because once you see the dukkha, you want to get rid of it. Right? You first have to notice a problem. You have to be aware of the problem and that the problem is imminent. And that's why the Buddha tells people to practice maranusati, death meditation. Why would the Buddha want us to practice death meditation? Because that lets you know that tomorrow, tonight, or in the next breath, you can die. When you have that in mind, you won't be lazy. You won't put it off for tomorrow. Right? The same thing with dukkha. When you accept that your life has dukkha in it, and it's going to keep having dukkha in it, you're going to work hard towards Nibana. But if you think life is, sunshine, rainbows, and, nice things, you have no motivation to liberate yourself. So that's why we need to understand dukkha. The Buddha said dukkha is to be understood. to be understood. We have to understand dukkha. Why? I love using this example from Alcoholics Anonymous, right? In Alcoholics Anonymous, they say the first step to recovery is to acknowledge that there's a problem. That's the first step. If someone who's in recovery, someone who's an addict or identifies as an addict, an alcoholic, they cannot get better until they realize for themselves there's a problem here. So we're also addicts. You know that? We're all addicts. To what? Loba, dosa, and moha. We're addicted to craving, right? Always wanting more. From the moment you wake up in the morning, you're thinking about, what am I going to eat? And it's not because you have to eat to survive. You want something tasty, right? You're just not eating, like regular white rice every morning. You want some nice curry, something tasty. We're always looking for something nice. Even when you sit down, you want a comfortable seat. You just don't want to sit on the ground. So we're addicts. So first we have to realize that this addiction, this craving, this aversion, right? And this confusion, this delusion is a problem. It's causing suffering in our lives, which brings us to the next one, right? The cause, samudaya, the cause of our suffering, which is tanha. So tanha also is not translated very well. Desire. I think desire is better for chanda. Those of you who know Pali or a little bit of Pali, you know what the word chanda means. Chanda is like you want something, a desire, right? There's kusala chanda and akusala chanda. There's good things that you want, desire, and bad things that are not good for you that you desire. Tanha is something a little bit different, because we look at the Buddha, he says, kama tanha, sensual, wanting something, right? It's not necessarily thinking about it. It's like from the body wanting something emotionally. That's what tanha is. Because when we look at the root of tanha is trishna in Sanskrit. Trishna comes from thirst, being thirsty. So you don't desire for something to drink. You feel it in your body, right? When you're thirsty, you just feel that you're thirsty. You don't have to dream about being thirsty. Just like hunger, you feel the hunger in your body. You don't have to think about the food. Your body will tell you. So this tanha, this craving, this desire, is something that's coming from, the emotion in the body for sensual pleasures. Always. It's not necessarily a thinking thing. I think that's something that needs to be very clarified. Especially Western people, they're always thinking tanha, desire, it must be like an intellectual thing. So I just need to turn off my brain and I'll be free from tanha. That's not the right way to think about it. We need to be very smart. The Dhamma is about intelligent people. That's why the Buddha always praised the panditas, the knowledgeable people, the smart people. So it's not about getting rid of your thinking. It's about knowing these urges, these cravings that we have for sensuality. That's the first kind of tanha, kama tanha. Then we have bhava tanha. What's bhava tanha? To want to exist, right? Like no one wants to die. People want to be reborn in a nice place, wanting to continue to exist. That's such a natural thing. People have, from the beginning of time, have been searching for immortality. They've been trying to make potions and trying to do black magic and all these kind of things to try to live forever, right? Or they're thinking, if I go to heaven, there I'll be safe. There's no safety in heaven. Even the gods must die. And when we look at the stories of the gods, they're always fighting. They're like a drama movie, right? All the gods are so dramatic. You might as like watching a soap opera. So there's no safety in going to heaven. The gods have their own problems. But we still want to exist. That's why we're willing to accept all these problems that come even with eternal life. Imagine if you did live forever. You have to watch all your family members die. Then all your friends die. So horrible to live forever like that. Doesn't make any sense. And if everyone lived forever, then we'd run out of room real quick on this planet. We don't even have enough room now. It's, things are getting very complicated for resources. We have physical room, but to support such a huge population becomes a problem also. So what's the third one? The opposite. Bhava tanha. Bhava tanha means not to exist, not to wanting to exist, like people who want to commit suicide. Or people who think once I die, when they're older, then I'll finish the problem. They're thinking that they're wishing for an eternal death after they die. But that's not true. As Buddhists, even many religions in the world believe in rebirth. That, if you die, it's not the end of the problem. Even in, what I grew up with in the Abrahamic traditions, you either go to heaven or you go to hell. So if you die, you don't solve the problem, right? You're probably most likely, if you kill yourself, you're going to go to hell. So there's no escape in trying to kill yourself. That's a bad choice, because killing is never acceptable, right? Panatipata veremanisi kapadam samadhiyami. That also means yourself, because you're also a living being. So you shouldn't kill, even if it's yourself. That's the third tanha. So we have three, right? Kama tanha, baba tanha, vibhava tanha. Kama tanha, sensuality, wanting more pleasure and running away from things that are uncomfortable. The next one is wanting to exist. And the next one is wanting not to exist, right? So these are the three kinds of tanhas that we're talking about. This is the problem, this craving, this urge that we feel. Remember, trishna means thirst. It's something that's in the body, something that's pushing you, propelling you. It's not necessarily a thinking part. The thinking part is there also. That's not a good thing to fantasize and dream about things that are going to make you want more of that. That's also a problem. But Tanha is really talking about a visceral kind of feeling that you get when you're thirsty or hungry or things like that, or you have to go to the bathroom and you want to go to the bathroom. It's a physical thing, an urge that you feel, emotional urge. So that's Tanha. That's the problem. That's the cause of our suffering. Okay? Then we have the good news. Nirodha. Nirodha means cessation. Right? So many people criticize Buddhism. Oh, Buddhists think that everything's suffering. How can you live like a Buddhist? Such a negative, pessimistic way of living your life. Who would want to be a Buddhist? Such a sad religion. All you think about is suffering. They never got to the third noble truth then. They only read the first one. If you keep reading, you get to the third part. The Buddha is just letting you know about the problem, the cause of the problem, and then he's telling you, you know what? The prognosis is good. You're going to make it. You're going to be okay. There's Nibana, freedom from suffering, freedom from all this tanha, freedom from all your problems. So the third noble truth is talking about Nibana. And we have to remember that Nibana is not a place. You don't go to Nibana. It's not on another planet or in a heaven. It's not something like that, right? Nibana means no more unwholesome states in your mind. The absence of all lobha, dosa, and moha. Those things are completely gone. All the asavas, gone. All the anusayas, gone. All the kilesas, gone. All the pain, dukkha, all the mental problems, domanassa, it's all gone. That's what Nibbana is. And very importantly also, freedom from rebirth. From pono babika, coming again. Freedom from coming again. So we have to remember that what Nibbana is. Sometimes we have weird ideas about Nibbana. We'll just keep it very simple. What the Buddha said here in the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta. Nibbana just means you got rid of Tanha, and because you got rid of Tanha, there's no suffering. There you go. Very simple explanation of Nibbana. Then we have the fourth noble truth, which is Magga. Magga is the path. What path are we talking about? We're talking about the Noble Eightfold Path, right? The Noble Eightfold Path, the middle way. And sometimes people think the middle way means, I get to choose a little bit of this and a little bit of that. Like, I used to drink 4 beers. Now I'm only going to drink 2 beers. That's the middle way, right? People are thinking like that. I used to argue with my husband every day. Now I'm only going to argue every other day, right? That's my middle way. No. The middle way doesn't mean that you find your own middle way of living your life. That's not what it means. The middle way means the Buddha's way, not your way, right? So we have to follow the Buddha. That's the middle way. It's not for you to make up your own way. How can you, someone who's blind with lobha, dosa, and moha, create your own way? It's not possible. The blind leading the blind. So don't try to make up your own middle way, right? I say this because a lot of Westerners, they think like this. People that didn't grow up in Buddhist countries, they're thinking, oh, middle way. So I just, pick my own balance in my own life. It's about balancing my life. It's not about balancing your life. It's about following the Buddha's way. That's what the middle way means. So what is the middle way? Very briefly, it's the right understanding. What's right understanding? Understanding the Four Noble Truths. Actually, the Buddha explains Sammaditthi in many ways. But in general, or the explanation that he uses the most is the Four Noble Truths. And if you want to learn about more ways to understand Sammaditthi, you can look at the Sammaditthi Sutta by Venerable Arahant Sariputta. That's a very good sutta. If you read that sutta, you'll understand everything you need to know about Sammaditthi, Arahant Sariputta. You can learn there. But in basic, Four Noble Truths. So that's what we covered right now. So if you really understand these Four Noble Truths, you have the Sammaditthi. Sama actually means complete, unified, harmonious, wholesome. Ditthi means view or perspective or lens, a way to see things, right? Sometimes we say right just because that's what's in all the books, but that's not a proper translation of Sama either. Sama means complete, wholeness, harmonious, something like this, right? So it's a complete view, an encompassing view, a wholesome view. It's not about being right or wrong. It's about understanding how things are. And you only understand how things are by seeing the whole thing, the whole picture, right? And if you want to know what the whole picture is, I also recommend the Brahmajala Sutta. It's a very good sutta also. Right there, you learn about how everyone has different views, but the Buddha's view is the view that encompasses all views, right? That's what Sama means also. If you read that sutta, it's very good. The Brahmajala Sutta. So then we go to Sama Sankappa, usually translated as right thought. So we already said Sama means wholesome or unified or complete or harmonious. Sankappa is very interesting. It is like a thought, but I like to think about Sankappa more like an intention or motivation. So what kind of intention or motivation should we have? Nekama, Abhyapada, and Avihimsa. What is Nekama? Nekama means to renounce, to let go. And then some people might think, well, that's only for monks then. Only monks practice Nekama. That's not true. That is not true. All of you practice Nekama. You know, Buddhist people, Sinhalese people are a perfect example of Nekama. Why? Because you're always practicing Dana. What is Dana? You're giving up. You're giving up your time, your money, your energy, your resources. You can be spending all of that on yourself. But instead of thinking about yourself, you're renouncing all those things and sharing with others. That is Nekama. You're renouncing your day. Maybe you come to the temple and you practice Attasila. You're renouncing all the lay life for that day. You're practicing 8 precepts. You're living like an arahant. Or maybe you only practice 5 precepts. You're renouncing killing. You're renouncing stealing. You're renouncing bad behavior, sexual behavior. You're renouncing bad speech. You're renouncing drugs. That's Nekama also. So everyone here I know is practicing Nekama. It's not only for monks. So you can also develop your Nekama by practicing more Dana and more Sila. Then we have Abhyapada. Abhyapada, non-anger or non-ill will. That may be difficult for you to understand. But in some other suttas, the Buddha also said that Abhyapada means metta. The opposite of anger is goodwill, loving kindness, right? Also, all of you, if you practice Dana, at the same time, you're practicing loving kindness. Because when you practice loving kindness, you're thinking about others. May they be well. May the monks be well. I want the monks to be happy, comfortable, and peaceful, right? You're practicing metta already. Then we have avihimsa, which is non-violence or non-cruelty, right? So instead of hurting people, we're kind to people, compassionate towards people. You have an intention of helping instead of destroying, which is very difficult, you know? It's very difficult, especially with so much anger in the world now. People want to destroy everything. Some people even want to destroy the Dhamma. People who practice the Dhamma want to destroy it because they think they can make the Dhamma better. But we need to practice kindness instead. We need to practice doing good things. And I'll give you some very simple examples. You know, I ride the bus here in the city. When I ride the bus, I say hello to the bus driver. Hello. Half of the time, the bus driver will say hello. Half the other time, they don't even say anything. They don't even look at me. But I like to say hello because that's kind. How many people say hello to the bus driver? Maybe not a lot, right? Maybe he feels like his job's not important, that people don't care. I want him to know that I care. I want to be nice to him. And when I get off the bus, what do I say? Thank you, sir. Right? Also, that's kindness. When I'm walking in the street, people are looking, all serious or angry. I smile. I go like this. I say hello. That is also kindness. That is compassion because you're considering other people. We don't have to try to save the world when we talk about karuna, when we talk about compassion, kindness. Kindness is just the intention, the motivation to do good things for other people. Smile, especially when you go to the store, when you're at Target and the cashier, smile. Look at the cashier in the eyes. Say hello to them. It's so difficult to be a cashier at Target. People are in a rush. People treat you bad. They blame you for all these things. At Target, these people are only getting paid minimum wage. They don't want to be there. If they could get a better job, they wouldn't be at Target. I'll tell you that for sure. So we, as people who are practicing kindness, compassion, karuna, avihimsa, when we see these people, hello, how are you? Good day. Thank you for helping me today. That's how you can practice this good motivation. And this is very key. If we can develop nekama through practicing dana, if we can develop avyapada through practicing metta, loving kindness, if we can develop avihimsa through practicing kindness, compassion, karuna, then guess what? The next 3 steps, which is speech, action, and livelihood, they take care of themselves. You don't have to worry about the precepts. If your mind is filled with nekama, avyapada, and avihimsa, naturally, those kind of things will come out of your mouth and out of your body. Some people find it very difficult to follow rules, right? Oh, the Buddha's telling me I have to follow all these rules. It's so difficult. How can I keep all these rules? Especially the speech one, right? Because we like to tell white lies or we gossip at work. It's very difficult. And then here in America, the drinking one, right? Because everyone drinks all the time, casually, even for food. It's difficult. But if in your mind, your motivation, your intention is of nekama, avyapada, and avihimsa, the idea of lying or gossiping or doing drugs will never even come to your mind, right? So instead of trying to get yourself to follow the rules, I would like to invite you to practice more metta, karuna, and dana. By doing this, the rules will take care of themselves. It's an easy way. So it brings us now to the 6th step, to the meditation part. Samavayama. So Samavayama has 4 parts. It has samvara. Samvara means to protect, to guard, like indriya samvara. Indriya samvara means to protect your eyes, your nose, your mouth, your body, your ears, and your mind. Right? Indriya samvara, protecting your senses. Why? Because when we see something, we might get attracted. Oh, I want this. How beautiful. The new iPhone. Oh, how nice. The new Tesla. I want this, right? Oh, the new Michael Kors or Louis Vuitton bag. Oh, I want this. Very nice. Or when you see something or you hear something, it might be something that you don't like, right? An insult. Someone gossiping about you. Right? So we have to protect ourselves. We have to guard ourselves from these things. So we have to try to avoid these bad situations, right? We have to try to avoid going to the nightclubs, to the bars, maybe avoid watching too much news too, because the news is so negative nowadays. Avoid interacting with people who cause us problems. Avoid things that are going to cause us problems. You're living a lay life. I know you have to put yourself in certain situations, but to the best of your ability, whatever you can do, try to avoid as many bad situations or problematic people as possible, or TV shows that make you sad or more violent or angry or more greedy. You have to protect your senses. Then the next one is pahana. Pahana means to eliminate, to get rid of it. So when you see an unwholesome state inside of you, you have to get rid of it. How do we do this? The Buddha said, if you see anger, you put metta, right? That's one very good example. Also, if you feel scared, you can use metta. If you feel very anxious and worried, you can practice anapanasati, the breath. If you're feeling a lot of lust, sensual lust towards people, you can practice the body parts or the death contemplation, the rotting corpse, right? If you feel lazy, also you can practice death, right? If you feel lazy and tired, you can also practice Buddha Nusati, thinking about the Buddha. They'll give you some motivation also. So this is how we can eliminate these bad thoughts. This is pahana. Then we have bhavana. Bhavana we usually translate as meditation. Bhavana means to bring in, to make something come about. We can say development or cultivation. So bhavana means to develop wholesome states of mind. Any wholesome state of mind, you're practicing bhavana. But if we want to get very, very specific about some things, if you want to know the details, then you can practice the Sattva-bojjhanga. By practicing the Sattva-bojjhanga, which the first one is sati, then you're developing bhavana, practicing bhavana. Then we have the last step of samavayama, which is anurakana. Anurakana means to maintain, to keep going, right? It's not enough only to protect your senses sometime during the day, maybe once a week, every other day. It's not enough to remove thoughts, whenever you feel like it, or to practice meditation whenever you feel like it. Anurakana means that from the moment that you wake up to when you go to sleep, you are practicing meditation. That doesn't mean with your legs crossed. It means that you're always protecting your mind. When a bad thought comes into your mind, you get rid of it, you throw it away. And also you, throughout your day, you try to bring in good states, kusala thoughts into your mind, right? This is what anurakana means. So meditation is actually a way of life. You have to live it every day. Or during the day, you can just think about the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha. That's also very good, right? That's also meditation. Anusati is reflection, thinking over and over and over again, bringing attention to the Buddha again, bringing attention to the Dhamma, bringing attention to the Sangha. So this is the sixth step of the Eightfold Path, samavayama. Now we have samasati, which is actually the practice of satipatthana. So satipatthana means, I'll make it very brief. Satipatthana means getting rid of the 5 hindrances, pancha nivarana, right? We have to get rid of the pancha nivarana and we have to develop the sattva-bojjhanga. This is the practice of satipatthana. How do we do it? We do it by watching the body, kayanupasana, watching the feelings, vedananupasana, watching the mind state, chittanupasana, and watching the thoughts, the dhammanupasana. So these are the 4 practices, the 4 bases of satipatthana practice. And we do this in order to overcome the pancha nivarana and to develop the sattva-bojjhanga. And when we do this, it leads us to the next step, which is sama-samadhi. Samadhi means a wholesome, unified state of mind, a harmonious state of mind, a wholesome state of mind, a mind in equilibrium, a mind free from unwholesome states, a mind free from the nivaranas. And specifically, the Buddha mostly talks about jhana. The development of jhana is sama-samadhi. And jhana is very nice. Jhana is a very nice thing. Jhana means you don't have any more crazy thoughts or bad thoughts. It means you have so much comfort, physical joy, and happiness, and the mind is balanced and focused only on one thing. It's very good. It's a very good practice, meditative practice. And people can get there, but it requires all the previous steps, like indriya samvara. So you have to get away from all the problems. You have to eliminate the unwholesome states in your mind. You have to withdraw from all those unwholesome states, cultivate wholesome states, and keep doing it, and have good sati through the practice of satipatthana. And then naturally the mind will be calm and clear, and you can reach the jhana levels, which is the sama-samadhi. So this is the 4th noble truth. I gave you in detail the path. This is the middle way, the magga, right? And then the Buddha, very interesting, after he explains this, he tells us how do we understand, or how do we work with the Four Noble Truths. So he says, dukkha has to be understood, tanha needs to be eliminated, right? Nirodha needs to be realized, and magga needs to be cultivated. And they all have three parts also. So for dukkha, we have to understand it, we have to work on understanding it and fully understood it. For tanha, also we have to know it, we have to work on removing it and fully removed it, eliminated it. For nirodha is we know that there's a escape, a cessation. We work on realizing it, and we have realized it. And for magga, we know that there's a path. We cultivate the path, and we finish cultivating the path. So the Buddha, actually, the Four Noble Truths is not something for you to memorize. The Four Noble Truths is homework. It's training, a practice that you have to do. We have to know dukkha. We have to know tanha. We have to know nirodha. We have to know magga. And we have to do them all. We have to work on understanding dukkha. We have to work on getting rid of tanha. We have to work on realizing nirodha. And we have to develop magga. And by doing these things, then we reach the level of the arahant, which is we fully understand dukkha. We fully remove tanha. We fully develop, realize nirodha, which is Nibana. And we fully develop magga, which is the path. So this is the Four Noble Truths. This is the way the Buddha explained it in the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, which was his first teaching. And this is also the first time someone became awakened. So it was Venerable, at that time, not an arahant yet, but Anya Kondanya. Anya means the one who understood, the one who saw. Kondanya was his name. So when Venerable Kondanya heard this, he became a Sotapanna, stream enterer, by hearing this teaching from the Buddha. And from that day forward, he was called Anya Kondanya. And then later on is when he became a fully awakened arahant. And then in the next famous teaching that the Buddha gave. So I just wanted to explain these Four Noble Truths, how they, I tried to apply them. You see me give all these examples and they might seem like silly or like I was deviating from the talk, but I really try to connect the teaching to your life. I feel like it's important that I give you examples of everyday lay life where you can understand the teaching, where it's not something intellectual or metaphysical or, oh, only the monks, it's only for monks, or only for academics. No. It's to be personally experienced by the wise, for you to come and see it, to be independent of others in the teaching, to make it into your own life, to your own refuge, to embody it, to practice it. There was many awakened upasikas and upasakas during the time of the Buddha, right? They were living the life, even though they were lay people, they were reached levels of awakening. And I think that happens if we can connect it to your regular lay life. So that was my intention. That was my hope by giving this talk today, that maybe you were able to see the connection between your life and the Dhamma, and you're able to integrate it and bring it into your everyday life and start living the Dhamma. Because a lot of people preach the Dhamma, we know that, but living the Dhamma, that's the hard part. Preaching is very easy. We can all tell other people how they should live their lives, but to actually do it, that's the difficult part. That's very, very difficult, right? Those of you who are parents, right? Because the children, the children tell you quick, right? Mom, Dad, you told me this, but I saw you do it, and they're pointing out to you real quick. So we always have to try our best to lead by example. Be the light for those who have little dust in their eyes. Okay, so now I finished with my Dhamma talk, and I'd like to open it up for questions, answers, comments, doubts, or if you just want to share something. Let me make sure that people are able to speak. Sometimes the chat might be locked, so let me see. Allow participants. Oh yeah, so you're free to unmute yourself if you want to say something.
Bandhe, if I may ask a question.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you very much for a lot of them packed into a short time, very nicely summarized. The question I have is, you mentioned about the virtues, metta, karuna, mudita, upekkha, and so on. And it always is projected outwards towards other people. What do you think about having to project inwards to yourself? And what is the balance you maintain there? How much towards yourself versus towards others? Can you make some comments on that? Thank you.
Yes, thank you. That's a very good question. So there's a sutta in the Sutta Nipata called the Nalaka Sutta. And this Nalaka Sutta, the Buddha explains to us where metta comes from, actually, or where even sila comes from. What is the foundation to, thinking about others for their well-being and why not hurt and kill? So the Buddha says this: as I am, so are they. As they are, so am I. Taking this into consideration, one should not harm living beings. I'm a living being, right? I'm a living being also. So when we practice metta meditation, may all beings be well. Hey, I'm one of the all beings. I'm also a being, right? So you have to always incorporate yourself. So we can't make ourselves more important than others. We can't also make ourselves less important than others. On equal ground, as they are, so am I. As I am, so are they. Right? So we have to work on it. So we're not arahants. We're always going to be kind of, swiveling side to side, but we try our best to try to find a sweet spot. And it's a work in progress. So yes, it's implicit in metta that you take yourself into consideration and you also wish for yourself to be well, happy, comfortable, and peaceful, right? It's very important because if you don't develop metta for you, it's very difficult for you to help others. The Buddha said, he gave the example of a person sinking in quicksand. There's two people sinking in quicksand. It's impossible for one person to save the other if they're both in the quicksand. Someone needs to be outside of the quicksand to be able to pull the other guy out, right?
Yeah.
So in a similar way, if we really want to share metta, we need to cultivate metta. We have to have something to share. we have to have something to share. If you want me to let you, if I want to let you borrow $1, I need to have $1 to give you, right? So if I want to spread metta to others, I need to have metta for myself. That's very, very, very important. There's another sutta in the Samyutta Nikaya about two acrobats, a teacher and a student. And the teacher says, okay, this is what we're going to do. We're going to go put on a show and make some money today. I want you, the student, to climb up the pole and do your dance, the acrobatics, and I'll watch you and take care of you, and you watch me and you take care of me. And this little boy was very smart. He said, Guruji, like this doesn't sound very right. This sounds a little weird. How about I watch what I'm doing and you watch what you're doing, and that way we'll have a good show. Right. And then the teacher said, yes, you're right. That's the way we should do it, So metta has to start with yourself first. Metta has to start with you.
Thank you very much.
Yes. Anyone else? Don't be shy. I know usually in traditional Sri Lankan, culture, you feel a little hesitant to ask the monks, but I'm not Sinhalese. I'm not Sri Lankan, so feel free, I'm an American. You can let go of the cultural expectations and you can be very sincere with me, And if you have a doubt, please, I don't want you to go to sleep with a doubt in your head or, and also I want to make sure that you understood. So you see right now, Mr. Sunil asked that question. Now I know he was paying attention. I know he was listening and he got something from this. But if you don't say anything, I don't know if you understood anything. Maybe you were on Facebook this whole time.
If I may, if there are no questions coming, I can just to give a reason behind the question I asked previously.
Yes.
Because a lot of people believe that they could go through a lot of suffering in order to alleviate other people's suffering. So their focus is on alleviating other people's suffering. and not their own. And they think that is kind of the commitment that they make. And a lot of people believe there's a lot of pain, benefit in that. But I mean, that's the reason I asked that, because people think committing towards other people is what we are supposed to do, and that's kind of imbalance there.
Yeah, so that's what I like to call the martyr syndrome. People want to be martyrs. And that's because of mana. So there's 3 types of mana, right? There's pride, where you think you're better than others. There's mana when you think you're less than others. And there's mana when you think you're the same as others. So the person who doesn't have compassion for themselves and only for others, and is willing to hurt themselves or let their life get worse in order to help others, they have the hina mana. They think that they're not as good as other people. So actually, they're doing that from a sense of pride.
Oh, that's great. Thank you.
We have to help others as long as we don't hurt ourselves. That's what the Buddha said. The Buddha said there's 4 categories of helping people, of good actions. The best one is good for me and good for others. That's the best. We always have to try to do that one. The next one is good for me, bad for others. The third one is good for others, bad for me. And the worst one is bad for me and bad for others. Definitely never do that one, right? So this is the categories that the Buddha gave us of how to treat things. So a complete wholesome action, a very kusala kamma, is when you do something that's good for you and good for others. That's the perfect kusala kamma. But if you're hurting yourself to help others, then you're not doing the correct. It still might be good, but it's not the ideal, right? You're not doing exactly what the Buddha wanted us to do. But I think we have to try to avoid being martyrs. That it builds into our pride. We think we're heroes and stuff like that, and so we always have to check ourselves, be very honest with ourselves. Where is this feeling, this intention coming from? Where is it coming from? Is it really about helping others? Or is it because I feel that I'm not worthy? Or that I want people to look at me, that I'm a very religious person, very spiritual, because I'm willing to help others and hurt myself? You have to be very careful. That mind is so tricky.
Thank you.
Yeah. Bantes, if there's no one else, Bantes, then I'll conclude my Dhamma talk.
Good to see you soon. And also, I need to say thank you for giving this Dhamma talk. At the very beginning of this Dhamma talk, you told to the audience that I am not trained to give talks to the robots. But look like you are trained. So you just did the monologue, I guess, in the frame of Dhamma discussion. It was nice interpretation of Eightfold Path. So instead of appreciating all those Dhamma talks and points that you pointed out, I'd like to say once again thank you and express my ambition and sometimes the signs that you show. There is a famous monk in Australia, is Brahmajala, and
yes.
His devotees know him. And from the very first day to today, I have the feeling that you have the capabilities and all the marks that you are going to be the Brahmajala for America. For sure. So, anyway, with these thanks, I would like to wish all the good lucks for you. May you be able to gain all success in your life, especially the mind life. And may you gain all good health by the power of this good energy you generated through this Dhamma talk, as well as giving so much of Dhamma talks and social service, especially in Mexico. Spanish people, you are helping with these Dhamma talks, so may you gain all success in all those counseling things and everything. And to wind up, wishing all these good things, I would like to give into Sinhala, giving you the permission to take, just take off from this Dhamma forum and giving the permission for you to leave this Dhamma forum. I'm going to give me to Sinhala to transfer merits to the devotees who departed from us, and also to share the blessings for the devotees who sponsored this Dhamma talks for today. Pingatni, api මෙහෙම කතා කරොත් අපිට කාට හරි බැරි වුණා නම් මේ ධර්ම දේශනාව සඳහා ඔබේ දරුවන් එකතු කරගන්න, විශේෂයෙන් තරුණ දරුවන් එකතු කරගන්න, එය සමහර විට අපිට අඩුපාඩුවක් විය හැකියි. නිතර අපිට ඉල්ලීම් කරනවා, විශේෂයෙන් මේ සනාත්විහාරි හාමුදුරුවෝ ගැන මතක් කරලා ඒ හාමුදුරුවන්ගේ බණක් නැවත කියවන්නේ කවදද කියලා අහන්න. මම දැක්කේ නැහැ ඇත්තටම වන්න අය මේකේ ඉදිරිපත් වෙලා ඉන්නවා කියලා. එහෙනම් බැරි වුණා නම් අපි ඔබ විශේෂයෙන් එම දරුවන් ඉන්න අය ඒක දරුවන්ගේ ෆේලි එකක් නෙවෙයි, වශයෙන්ම අපිට කිසියම් ෆේලි එකක් කියලා හිතලා අපි කොහොමද මේ දරුවන් මේ වගේ මඟකට යොමු කරගන්නේ කියන කල්පනාව ඇති කරගන්න කියන මතක් කිරීම කරමි. අද දවසේ මේ ධර්ම දේශනාව සඳහා දායකත්වයේ උසුලන්නේ අපේ සුනිල් මහත්මයා, ඒ වගේම අනුජනෝන ඒ පවුලේ උදවිය. ඉතින් බණක් කියවන, ධනක් දෙන, පින්කමක් කරන හැම වෙලාවකම අපි බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා අපේ දූ දරුවන්ගේ යහපත ඇති වේවා, නිරෝගී සම්පන්නිය, ඔවුන්ගේ අධ්‍යාපනයේ සාර්ථක වේවා කියන ප්‍රාර්ථනාව කරනවා. ඒ නිසා සුනිල් මහත්මයා අනුගමන දරුවන් වගේම දරුණුදුරන්ගේ සම්බන්ධ වෙච්ච ඔබ හැම දෙනා මේ චිත්ත